Hey, Will,
Hey, Eric.
it's March.
Yeah.
Are you just clinging onto the snow?
Well, I mean, it's winter. So like it's still winter, right? Like as of
The
today.
groundhog, supposedly, yes, by their decision.
Sure, yeah, Punxsutawney. He is a punk. Emphasis on the punk. But yeah, no, I'm gonna keep it. Next time it'll definitely be spring. What about
Or
you? Are you
summer. Yeah.
it's about to be summer every time
Yeah.
if we don't fix things.
Welcome to the High Contrast Podcast. I'm Eric.
Oh, I'm Will.
And today I don't know what we're talking about.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
No idea.
Nope.
Okay.
Ah!
In case you're wondering, I didn't know he was going to do that. I didn't know where that was going. Yeah, it is a little freaky, isn't it?
So editing the last episode, I described this movie. Let's see if I can remember. Um on a trajectory of like, okay, like where's this going? That's interesting. Why is this director so obsessed with butts? And like here you go, and it moves up into this like ending that then just like shoots off like a rocket, and you were like kind of like more extreme than a hockey stick ending, and I was kind of like, yeah, but I think it's more linear. I think the ending is absolutely justified and telegraphed by the rest of the movie and is a very cathartic explosion of a lot of pent up oppression. And it is a sort of rebellion against the pressures of consumers like Dennis Quaid who are forcing her into a position. And I am just really excited because I very intentionally did not ask you before we were recorded what you thought of the movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I want to know.
It's interesting you say that because I saw it as the other way. I looked at it as a criticism of how Demi Moore and
Margaret Qualley.
Margaret Qualley.
Yep.
Okay, couldn't remember her first name. I saw it more as a reflection of how Demi Moore and by extension Margaret Qualley saw themselves and the consequences of pursuing unattainable beauty. So, for example, she takes the substance because she loses her job. Her job was almost exclusively um, being on television, and so it's all surface level. And so she says, "I'll take the substance." That's not how the plot progresses. She doesn't say, "I'll take the substance." It's a little different, a little more complicated. But
I mean, in her actions, she says that.
right, but she at the clinic right after she gets fired, she runs into this guy who tells her, "I think you're the most beautiful woman in the. I think you're still the most beautiful woman in the world."
Mm-hmm.
Later in the movie, there are things that happen, including the ending you described, that to me criticize that concept specifically with that guy. Very mild spoiler. She decides I'll go on a date with that guy. He gave me his phone number, and she gets ready for the date, and then
This
sees
is
Margaret
such a
Qualley.
crucial scene.
Yeah, and immediately goes back to the bathroom to try and look more beautiful. To me, that's the point of the movie. Is doesn't matter whether or not other people find you beautiful. If you don't find yourself beautiful, the more you pursue beauty, the uglier you're going to perceive yourself. And I think that the climax of that is the end of the movie
Mm-hmm.
because Margaret Qualley and Demi Moore, you are one, by the way.
Yeah, which is
That's
so easy
critical.
for me to lose track of, but it is one consciousness.
And it's like y'all can't leave notes for each other, by the way. Sorry.
Yeah,
Anyway,
they
it's
don't
like, hey,
have
don't.
to because they are that person.
Right, but then they call him like she's doing this,
I
and the
know.
guy's like, nope,
There is no
you
she.
you were doing
You are
this.
doing this.
Uh, but still, you couldn't leave a note and be like, hey, look, I know it's tough, but look at my finger.
Yeah.
Can you not do that, please?
So all right. uh, a brief synopsis here. The substance, as we talked about, is about Demi Moore, an actress who is actually 60 playing 50. And on
She
her,
looks incredible. One real quick. I'm so sorry. She looks incredible,
yeah,
and she's the whole point of the movie is she thinks she's ugly. This
yeah.
is one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen on film.
Yeah,
Please continue.
she's in an industry that quite literally discards her for her age, and she is put in a situation where she believes that she's willing to do extreme sort of body horror-esque stuff to herself to relive her days as her quote unquote perfect self. Um, which somebody pointed out, and this was really funny, that Margaret Qualley, even being the perfect self, had to wear fake makeup breasticles in order to look the way she looks in the movie,
Interesting.
because partially because they had to like match body with body,
Hmm.
and Margaret Qualley is a little flatter chested, and partially because even trying to emulate what people would quote unquote consider perfect standards, they couldn't just pick an actress and just have that actress be themselves. So, um, yeah, it becomes this back and forth of her trying to live her life as Margaret Qualley and her being caught in understanding that she deserves a life as Demi Moore. And they, as Margaret Qualley starts to take more from Demi Moore, they start to go back and forth, and they end up as very split individuals, and and this pursuit of perfection sort of mutilates and distorts her until a point where she has no choice but to accept, I can't change myself anymore. I am this insane creature that I have turned myself into. I am going to, despite everything, still go and try and stand up as a person and still go up and try and be, enjoyed like as this person. And after she has gone through so much to try and live up to the expectations of others, she just explodes and literally sprays the entire audience of people who are expecting beauty from her in blood.
When
And
when you say literally, you are not exaggerating.
yeah, the little girl, the CEOs, everybody. Like, um,
You know, I
but that scene, you go ahead.
go on, please.
And she literally cannot leave the house because she can't accept, based on her looks, that she is someone who deserves to go on this date.
Hmm.
And it is heartbreaking for everyone involved. And to me, that is such a key element of the movie where she is like, I deserve to be a person who is cared about for who I am. And you see her try and stand up and take that role because she realizes she's being infected by this pursuit of beauty, and
Hmm.
she cannot pull herself away, and she suffers for it. And it's so that's the scene to me that illustrates that she is trapped by something, that this isn't necessarily a choice for her, that she grew up, from a very, very impressionable young age under the belief that her beauty and those things are what makes her worthwhile to society.
Hmm.
And now it's like people are saying she doesn't deserve to live the same anymore. And she can't believe it in herself either. And it's like, it's devastating. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I feel the same way. I've been through that. I get it. It sucks. I don't feel that way as much anymore. I don't think it'll ever leave as a part of myself. But yeah, that resonated very deeply with me. Not obviously the feminine experience. I don't have that, but just being worthy of affection, attraction, and even just being worthy to live. That's I have not had any ideation or anything like that, but just like being worthy for being who you are is something that I've struggled with in the past. And yeah, That really messed me up. Um, and I also thought, God, that poor guy. Like he's sitting, he texts her over and over again, and it's like, "You okay? You everything all right?"
Yeah.
And then she just ghosts him. I think it's important to note also the like what she does after that is binge eats and like makes a huge mess. Um, and that Margaret Qualley comes in and is like, I can't believe she did this. And to reiterate, there is no she; they are one. And if I may, at some point, just let me know and we can isolate this if you want. I'll read the disclaimer from the substance. The I'll just read it now if you want to isolate it. This is the substance. You are the matrix. Everything comes from you. Everything is you. This is simply a better version of yourself. You just have to share 1 week for one and 1 week for the other. A perfect balance of 7 days each. The one and only thing not to forget: you are one. You can't escape from yourself. So, the reason I bring that up is because she gets ready for that date. She doesn't go. She binge eats, makes a huge mess. Margaret Qualley comes out and is upset. Again, binge eating resonates with me as someone who has been obese their whole life. Even if I have the perfect version of myself, there are going to be things I do that don't align with what the perfect version of myself does. And I have to accept that. And the
Mhm.
same is true of this movie. Margaret Qualley has to accept that the things that Demi Moore is doing, the things that Demi Moore are doing, subject verb agreement, I don't know, um, is doing because subject verb. Those are things she is doing. That's still a part of herself doing those things.
And their names are Elizabeth and Sue, I think, if that helps.
Yeah. Elizabeth is Demi Moore, Sue is Margaret Qualley. Just Sue.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Sparkle is Demi Moore, and just Sue, is Margaret Qualley. And that's an important thing to remember throughout this movie. She gets this job making this show under the name Sue, and that's it.
Yeah.
And there's no I-9, there's no W-4 that she fills out. There's a billboard for a workout show where nothing happens, and it becomes such a national sensation that she's doing the New Year's show. You just have to let it ride
Yeah.
because
It's a
no,
non-American director making
well,
like LA and
it's just like none of this is real, and you
yeah.
have to go into it like thinking, reminding yourself it doesn't matter. The point is the body changes, the beauty standards. Doesn't matter that Sue is a non-entity with no social security number.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter. Um, you just have to, and to me, that helps emphasize and highlight the point, the message.
You know what though? I also wouldn't be surprised if she was just able to use all of Elizabeth's information and continue to function and nobody
Maybe,
would ever
sure.
take a second look at it because people take stage names in Hollywood all the time, you
Hmm.
know?
Oh yeah.
But something someone pointed out is that Sue makes you make a kiss face.
Interesting.
And
Sue.
so, yeah, it's, ah,
Like
um,
Bernice makes you smile. That's from a sitcom from 25 years ago. So don't.
what's this sitcom?
Yes, dear. I think.
Oh, okay.
I'm an old person. Um, anyway.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes,
are we still
dear.
talking about the substance? Because that's literally a scene in the substance. Hey, Eric. Has it started yet? Has she started to eat away at you? God, when I saw him and I saw that like scar or birthmark or whatever on his hand, and I was like, oh no, that's that guy.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Get out of there, Demi Moore. Get out of there.
So,
Oh man.
um, highlights of the movie for me, uh, uh, Demi Moore, kind of everything, like her as like her witchy looking self, and like I don't know. There's so much about her performance. I really hope. I guess I don't have the words for it that I thought I would. Um,
We can get there.
uh, one of the most memorable images to me is Margaret Qualley with that inflatable balloon pop on her butt
Oh
that
yeah.
she then goes, and it's like this dream that she has where she ends up pulling a chicken or turkey leg out of her belly button.
Yeah.
Um, and
And that's because of Demi Moore, Elizabeth Sparkle's overeating outside of Margaret
yeah.
Qualley's time. Oh, and but when
Oh,
she's wearing that like zip up suit and it gets unzipped and all of that meat and viscera just falls out. Ugh.
yeah. The
What were you gonna say?
draining of the last spinal fluid,
Ugh.
and just that concept of like you have no choice. You have to go back and let it regrow the spinal fluid. Like, how are you alive? What? What do you mean you completely ran out of spinal fluid? What? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, she's been eating that applesauce goo through an IV,
yeah,
and that's all she's got.
yeah,
It's quite the film. It's so imaginative, but
yeah,
so simple. And I
yeah.
think that's what's so approachable about it and why it's gotten the mass appeal that it has. The only thing I will say, I do wish the ending were a little weirder. I wanted the escalation to be a little different.
Okay.
And it's very difficult for me to explain exactly what I mean. I'm not sure. I would know it when I saw it, but I will say I liked the ending, and the ending definitely punches home that the point, the message. But I do wish it were a little more odd and a little less traditional body horror, if that makes sense. Like it is a body horror movie. If you've heard this described as a body horror movie, it absolutely is, but
Mm,
not really until pretty late in the movie. And it doesn't really escalate until like the very end. Like when Elizabeth Sparkle wakes up after being down under for a long time, that's pretty like scary looking,
yeah.
but that's just the ravaging that again to me it's the ravaging of her body in the pursuit of unattainable beauty.
Oh, another highlight moment. That moment where she has to like click to unrelease her knee so that she can
Oh,
walk
oh
around.
man. You want to talk about getting old? That's what that is. Like you suddenly you have aches and pains and your body will not obey. Your body will not listen to you sometimes.
Yeah.
And you have to get past it. Yeah, she like it's just put it here, please.
Yeah.
Just put it right here. That like, oh man. It's so well done though. Like
Yeah.
again, as I said, it's so simple. Like she
Yeah.
lives in most of her apartment is one big empty room,
Hmm.
minus the bathroom and the kitchen, and that's
Yeah.
really all you see. You see the bedroom briefly, like a couple of times,
Yeah.
um, but the focus of her apartment is that room. The studio is mostly a hallway, you know, like and the guy's office, and that's it. Like it's so simple.
Yeah. I also love how within a week she does this professional contracting job to create a compartment within her apartment to
Right? She
hide the
doesn't.
bodies.
Hey, she's the best version of herself.
You can do anything.
You can do anything. Like I take the substance and you know what? I'm doing home improvement projects I've been putting off for years.
Yeah.
Good for her. To quote,
So,
who is that? The mom from Arrested Development. Oh, Lucille Bluth.
yeah.
Good for her.
So, we're going to look at the reviews,
Hmm.
and starting us off with cinema score, B.
Hmm.
Now, I can understand why people would give mixed reactions to where this story goes, like not knowing what's going in. And then it ends up at a B in terms of predicting how successful it'll be based on being a horror movie and body horror. But that's why it's so fascinating that this movie is up for Best Picture at the Oscars. I am so excited, and I know it's not going to win, but I'm rooting for it so hard. Um,
I'd have to go back and look at the list again, but yeah, I hope it wins, but I doubt it.
yeah. So, Metacritic I gotta stop saying which website it is and leaving myself long, lingering pauses that I have to then trim in editing so that there's a little jump cut. And I am definitely talking right now while I click out of the ads so that I can see that the substance got generally favorable, a 78
Hmm.
for
Okay.
57 critic reviews, and for users, a 7.2 based on 689 user reviews. Again, I think it's appropriate based on someone's first reaction to the movie, but I feel like these are too low. Um, I don't know. What do you think?
A little too low. Yeah. I'll withhold my true feelings until we hear a couple more um, aggregated scores.
The Substance IMDb is 7.3 out of 10, 261,000 reviews.
Hmm.
Again, I don't know. Maybe it just took me to, at first I was like, that was wild. That was a wild ride, and I appreciate it, and I'm like moving on. But it stuck with me. And it stuck with me enough to want to hear other people talk about it. And the more I hear other people talk about it, and the more things click into place, the more it clicked for me. And this is, I don't know. So, I am now going to slowly talk my way through Rotten Tomatoes while I click on the substance and it struggles to load.
Hmm.
But okay, 90% of critics said that it was more positive than negative. The average rating is a 7.9 out of 10.
Interesting. These are all in the sevens across the board, huh? From
Yeah. 75% of audiences said that it was good over bad. Their average rating is a 3.9 out of 5. So again, like
yeah,
78%.
yeah.
And last we have Letterboxd. 3.8 out of 5.
Wow, these are all
Across the board. This movie
yeah.
is like a passing grade 78.
Yeah,
Like,
I would put it a little better than just passing, but not by much. You know, a low B, a high C, and
so
yeah.
so I'm gonna make an argument here that if you're talking about this movie as an experience compared to all movies, not everyone wants to explore these subject matters through body horror. I get that.
Mhm.
But taking this movie in the context, like for what it is, and saying, like, let's look at what they were trying to do with this piece of art versus how well it is executed, this is easily an A 4.5 out of 5 for me. Like, I feel like this is so much more successful at what it is trying to be than it's getting credit for. And obviously, it's nominated for an Academy Award, even though it's getting these like mixed reviews. I don't know how much of these, I haven't looked at what some of the positive things people said were and some of the negative things people said were, which I probably should have. I guess I could.
We still can.
Oh man, I can't just click backwards because I.
Let's see. Rotten Tomatoes. Horrible storyline and acting. Worst movie of the year. So stupid. Sounds like these aren't super
That's
um,
audience or is that critics?
audience.
Yeah,
Oh,
okay.
the idea of striving for the best version of oneself is undermined by the film's dystopian nature, making it feel both unrealistic and harmful. The substance feels deeply problematic, particularly with its portrayal of self improvement. I think you missed the point, friend.
Yeah,
The point was is that you should not pursue unrealistic beauty goals.
yeah. Claudia Puig, uh, NPR Los Angeles, falls into the category of films that men like to claim as feminist.
I'll have to ask a woman because I don't, I have again have not been through the feminine experience. I get why
The
I get why
the
this person
biggest
would say that.
review, the biggest review that drew me in was Dead Meat. horror podcast, and the person who organizes their podcast when they cover things is Chelsea Rebecca, a woman to the best of my knowledge.
Mhm.
And yeah, no, there was so much commentary on relatability to the feminine experience, and like there's just this is such a minority opinion.
Oh, real quick, an element of the movie, in order to get to, again, if you are viewing the substance and all of the cachet around it within the scope of the movie as the pursuit of beauty, um, one of the biggest elements that seems like relatively subtle in the movie, when you go to pick it up, you have to go pick it up. It doesn't get delivered. You have to go pick it up from a box every week.
Mm-hmm.
The door does not open all the way, and you have to crawl underneath the
Mm-hmm.
door. Meaning, in order to pursue this unattainable beauty, you have to demean yourself. You
Yeah.
you have to crawl on the ground to get to this. You have to you have to diminish your own worth to pursue this unattainable beauty.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, sorry. Again, no. Do I know what it's like to be a woman or feminine presenting person? No, I don't. But gosh, does this movie make you wonder about it? To me, that's the point. Like, is if it can present to a masculine person or a man and say, hey, by the way, this is what it's like to be a woman. If you've taught any number of men about that, I consider that a win, and I consider that a positive thing.
Mm. Yeah. So there are two more reviews that I want to talk about real quick back to back. One of them is emblematic of what I feel like is going on with the reviews here. The substance wields its power not with the precision of a scalpel, but a jackhammer, essentially claiming that this movie isn't something that could be more subtle, that it's just like boisterous with its metaphors and things, which again is you saying, if I wanted to watch a movie about this, I would want to watch a different movie than this.
Well, now hang on. I will say this. I assume that was a quote unquote negative review. Is that right?
Yeah,
Like a
it's,
low score
it's
review.
flat. Yeah.
Um, Again, I think they're missing the point because I totally agree that it is a jackhammer, but I
Yeah.
don't consider that to be a bad thing.
Yep.
I feel like I mentioned this on another episode that sometimes subtlety is the answer.
Yeah.
Other times, it is not the answer. You need to punch the audience in the face to say, look, you moron, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
Especially in the age of like the political climate that we live in, subtlety is not on the table to me right now.
Well, that's the other review. Farge, the director, delivers a macabre, funny, tragic, absurd, and grotesque grand Guignol of
Um,
butts and guts. A bonkers and brutal beauty horror that elevates the genre to hysterically unprecedented heights. That, pointing to the originality, pointing to the fact that it is not just the subtextual elements that are unsubtle. Everything is unsubtle and heightened. Everything about the movie is larger than life on
mhm.
an insane scale. And so you're telling a story that is almost more like a fable or fairy tale.
Yeah,
And if you don't get that very quickly with the way characters like Dennis Quaid eating shrimp
I
and
literally
like
was about to say that the shrimp,
yeah,
the camera is right here,
yeah.
and he's like eating these
Yeah.
shrimp.
If you don't get what the movie like is trying to be early on, then you're just gonna sit there being like, why is this movie not more subtle? For 2 hours, you're wasting your time. Like that is where those two things, there's someone that gets it and celebrates it for what it is, and someone who's like, I wish I saw something different handling this subject matter, and is then reviewing the movie for not what it is.
I will say I think that can be valid. only if you make comparisons or generate examples or give examples of how you may have done it differently. So if you said, yes, this movie could have been more subtle. For example, you could have done what this director did. Or you could say, this could have been more subtle. For example, in this scene, they could have done this. Actually, you know what? There is some subtlety in this movie because my partner and I watched it and I was like, hey, did you notice that? Like in this scene, and it became much more overt later. The first time I think Elizabeth uses the substance, when she comes back and she's in her stall shower, there's no door. But it's barely noticeable the first time. The second time they show that, the camera like pulls out and it's like 30 feet high and has no door. But the first time, there's no door, meaning there's no way out. And guess what? That's subtlety, baby. So there is some subtlety to it,
Right.
but it is beating you over the head with again, to me, this is my interpretation. It's beating you over the head with the unrealistic beauty standard message. But again, there are things in there that are subtle, and even the things that aren't either subtle or overt are still entertaining. Like, for example, when she comes back to like pick up her stuff, and maybe I'm misremembering this, but Dennis Quaid is like, "Oh, hey," at the end of the hallway, and then he walks, and we watch him walk down the hallway for like 30 seconds because the hallway is like 100 yards.
The Shining hallway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, and like marching towards her. It's so funny.
Yeah. They got the Shining bathroom in there too, and
the bathroom for
that's
sure.
one of the things Dead Meat pointed out was there's this like allusion to the scene of the young woman who becomes an old woman in The Shining, and calls to mind.
I didn't think about that.
Here's my thing. I think I have a way to articulate this. When you have hearing someone say that they are like, and not just you, hearing other people say that they're being unsubtle or beating you over the head with the message that beauty standards are unrealistic and whatnot, implies that that is one sentiment that is being repeated or enlarged beyond what it is. Where I believe that that is a sentiment that is such a large topic that needs to be explored, that it needs to be that big, because we need to understand not just that that exists and so women suffer from it. That is too broad of a brush. And you can say that in a few sentences and you don't have to explore that. But by exploring it in detail, you can understand why women feel subjected to it in terms of when they are young and when they are celebrated versus when they are old and when they are rejected. You can explore how the world treats them on multiple different levels and how they view the world as parts of life that are worth living versus like the date with the guy, which is a completely acceptable like idea to live your life. Go on a date with this guy who likes you. But that is just an unlivable part of life to someone who is subjected to this. And I don't think you can paint that with a broad brush. I think that is bringing the thesis of an essay that has multiple points to make about a thesis. And I understand that they're not subtle about what they are talking about, but I don't think there's any world where they would try to be subtle about the topic of conversation. It's the points they make within that conversation about why they're using this topic that are thoughtful and that are constantly turning over. Like, why would you make this decision? Why would you pull your teeth out? Why? Like,
yeah.
And then, her having to stand there and
smile. That was so good. But I agree completely, because it is, again, this is not, to me, I would tweak it a little bit. I would say this is not an essay. This is a book about unrealistic beauty standards, including chapters on being ogled by old men, having to smile, overeating, demeaning yourself, having to crawl on your belly for these beauty standards. there's a chapter on each of these, and
Yeah,
all of them are here. So yeah, I agree. It is a subject that has to be explored through different facets and elements, and I think this movie does. And I think it would be reductive to simply call it just a body horror movie.
absolutely.
Um,
I liked
to
that term beauty horror
ooh,
that person used in that review.
hey,
Yeah.
that's good. Beauty horror.
Mm.
That's exactly what it is. Like I mentioned to you earlier, and hey, maybe we can record a special episode about this in a couple of weeks. I finally watched I Saw the TV Glow, and it is a life changing movie, and it is billed as a horror movie, but it is to me, it's not a horror movie, but it is one of the most terrifying things I've ever seen. And I'll leave it at that for now. Um, God, that movie. But
Yeah, it's incredible.
to me, again, I think that I Saw the TV Glow and The Substance both. They don't necessarily defy genre classification. I mean, it is horrifying. But both of these movies are horrifying in very different ways. But is the point to be horrified in a way? But it is not to be horrified in the way of like The Shining or what's there's a movie we watched together like a decade ago where the family's in the house and they're wearing like lamb masks. You're Next. Um,
Yeah.
the point of You're Next is a fun romp, a fun bloody romp with a hey, there it is. I really like that movie. There's it's a fun bloody romp, and there's not so much to be gathered from that other than let's have a good time.
Yeah, it's a
Meanwhile,
subversion of a home invasion movie where the final girl is a survivalist who actually turns the horror back on the villains.
yeah, yeah. That's a good summation. But it's a horror movie, and to me, there it's you're right that it is a subversion, but to
No, it
me,
is still horror. It's
it's
not
still a
like
horror movie.
trying.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Meanwhile, I Saw the TV Glow and The Substance both are like, yeah, the closest we can get to slap on a poster and in the top of a Google search is a horror movie.
Yeah, the only place we could put this in Blockbuster is under horror.
What's Blockbuster?
This. Um, yeah,
Sorry, kids.
actually, I genuinely think I Saw the TV Glow would be put under drama. I don't think.
It should be, but I'm ironically I'm going to dead name the streaming service. HBO has it listed as horror.
Okay.
When you navigate to it, it says horror as the genre. And it does have very scary imagery sometimes, like the ice cream guy, the head inside the TV, Fred Durst being on camera at all. You know, these are all like really scary things.
Burn!
So it's just one of those days when you don't want to wake up.
Oh.
I waited for him to say that the whole time. I was just like, please, Fred, come on.
He's been doing things, man. He directed that movie The Favorite with John Travolta that everybody laughed at and is apparently atrocious.
The Fanatic or the Favorite?
Fanatic, the Fanatic.
Yeah.
The Fanatic.
Moose, where he played Moose.
Yes. And he starred in something else recently, and I don't remember what it is, but he's been getting around in Hollywood doing his thing. Which, you know, good for him.
William Frederick Durst, by the way.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Another hidden William.
Yeah, they're out there, man.
Yeah. It's funny. My dad is a William, but he goes by Russ and has his whole life, and he always goes by his middle name.
That's weird. Hey,
Yeah.
I'll let you know a little secret. Same here.
Really?
Yeah.
But the reverse, you're using your middle name?
Mm-hmm. Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Isn't you just said he's using his middle name, right?
He lives by his middle name, which is Russell.
Oh, right, but his first name is Will. Yeah, so I'm the opposite. William is my middle name, but I go by it. And it's just because growing up nobody called me by my first name. And so like that's not me. You know what I mean?
So do we get a first name reveal on here, or is that private?
My first name is Nunya. That is Nunya business.
Oh.
No, you already know, but yeah,
Jobs
like
died of ligma. Who the hell
who's
is
Steve Jobs? Lick my balls. Yeah, that noise is really good. Boom. Anyway,
It's one of my
um,
favorite memes.
so
That's
we were talking about Fred Durst. No, go ahead.
that
Sorry.
that and my other favorite meme recently is me trying to get my spring cleaning done before the guy who throws chairs at me for doing my spring cleaning shows up. And
I have not seen that.
it's the scene from The Mummy where Benji, the character, is trying to like
Oh,
get all this shit together and leaves, and Rick O'Connell walks in and is like, "Let me guess, spring cleaning." And picks up a chair and just hurls it.
I love taking a scene from something completely out of context and making something so stupid about it like that. I love that.
I'm not even
That's
looking
good.
at it. I'm losing my mind laughing at it. It's just
Let me guess. Sprinkly.
ah!
Wow. Oh, like you did this to me, by the way, because I never really thought about it when watching the movie growing up. But the way that you say Hominoptera
Yes.
sticks in my mind. Like that's Hominoptera. Like why did he say it like that? And now I can't watch that movie and not laugh at that scene. There's one more scene like that. It's not from The Mummy though, and it's way darker. So skip this if you don't want to watch it. It's
Skip it by 30 seconds. Now let's wait
yeah,
30 seconds and say what it is immediately.
that's messed up. Um, oh, sorry, we meant after that. But yeah, it's Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, and it's when Cedric Diggory comes back. Mr. Diggory. I can't even say it. Please just put it here.
It's my boy. It's my son.
Why did he? Why didn't the director go cut? You got to do that again. You can't make it. It's like
No,
Voldemort's laugh.
There are people who remember.
Hey, why did you? Hey, Rafe. Hey, what the hell was that?
And when he hugs Draco Malfoy. Here's the thing. There are people who have like really emotional memories attached to that scene and really consider his wailing to be like tragic and emotionally impactful. And I have never been able to take it seriously. I don't know why it just didn't click for me. It's just, oh my gosh.
That's a real shame.
That's part of a trio of things. That is so
tell me.
Hominoptera. And then
Hominoptera. Yep.
and then my son, my boy, and then you cannot wield it.
Oh my god, what was the deal? Was that his first day on set? And he like hadn't figured out you cannot wield it. None of us can.
It has no other master.
Hey Vigo, what the hell was that? Yeah, it has no other master.
The ring answers to Sauron alone.
And he also answers only to the Lollipop Guild. Why? Hey, people need to shut up about the boot, like kicking the helmet, whatever. He breaks his toe, whatever. We need to talk more about why did he say that like that? You cannot wield it. I'm gonna voice clip my brother because my brother and I both are like into Lord of the Rings like that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna voice clip, and that's all I'm gonna say. You cannot wield it. None of us can.
It has no other master. The ring answers to Sauron
Wait a minute.
alone.
Hey, wasn't this about the substance? What happened?
Yeah. No, we we did.
Hey, I don't mind. I don't mind.
In summary, I think the substance is peak for what it's trying to be and would be my go-to for anything that is trying to discuss. Also, so much you want to talk about like subtlety and not subtlety. They're not being subtle about the butts, but what that is doing is criticizing the male gaze in so many ways. And because the context by which the characters think that it's important and the fact that that's the way the show she's making is being directed, and that's controlled by the men in the room. Like there is if you're just sitting here thinking like, oh wow, they're doing these butt shots for men. Yeah, you're gonna miss the point that they are still I think this director's a little obsessed with butts because it's not just when they're filming the show that they're
Right.
like we could show the body but let's go down here. Like it's a lot, but
It is a little a lot. I would say sometimes that's justified. I think the term that people use is gratuitous. Is it gratuitous? Like, is it unnecessary? So it is a little
sometimes
gratuitous in fairness in this movie, but it is
but
also
so are
serving.
many things.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
serving a point. Like it's like, oh well, that shot's just for the male gaze. Well, which men?
yeah.
Have you stopped to think about which men are gazing at these characters? Oh, it's these men who have power over them, and their entire job depends on this.
Well, and also the consciousness of the characters are focused and lingering on the parts of them that men are valuing and in some
Mm.
ways like salivating over. So you if the camera is in some way subjective to the characters, they're going to think about the parts of them that they think are important based on the values of the men in their lives. And I don't want to go into this whole thing about how like, men bad, women oppressed, like whatever. Like I think everything is vastly more complicated than that. I'm reading one of the best books I've ever read in my life right now, by Jason Pargin. I'm starting to worry about this black box of doom. And it is seriously one of the best things ever, and it is so thoughtful about human relationship with the internet and what it is doing and has done to us when we're essentially living in a reverse apocalypse for the past 30 years. Like revelations in human experience have like boomed in terms of like running water, housing, electricity, technology, like everything that we have. Star Trek didn't even have something like Wikipedia on it. Is a recent
Mm.
like quote from it. Like we have more than we could dream of constantly. We have more free time. We have better hygiene. We have everything in this world, and yet something about each of our subjective experience as we interact with the world through the filter of the internet puts us in our own black box of doom, where each of us are looking at walls that surround us that tell us the world is on fire and is going to end.
Mm.
And it's all for someone's profit. Being subjected to that worldview is all to increase traffic, and it's all at the benefit of somebody else who gets you to continue to believe that your life is not good enough, that things are hard enough. And there's so much validity to the experiences that are talked about in the substance, that I feel like this is a movie that is necessary, elevated, and excellent for what it needs to be. But there is also, that is not going to be the experience of every woman. The reality is
Mm.
not that extreme. This is an unreality movie. And it talks about some very real things through this heightened guise. And if you're not someone who can tolerate someone being larger than life about
Mm.
something that you don't agree with, if you're some dude who thinks that all of this like messaging is like woke or something like that, then yeah, this movie is going to be a different kind of horror movie for you. But um yeah, no, I just think this is an original piece of filmmaking that is super successful at what it does, and and deserves all the attention in the world, and it should win Best Picture of the year, I think.
It's funny you
Hey,
say
was
that.
it was it
Oh,
better than Bad Boys 4?
oh, mm.
Legitimately considering whether or not the substance is better than Bad Boys 4.
Yeah, probably. Um, I mean, yeah, but I will say it's a wholly different experience. Um, And that, hey, guess what? That's the whole thing about watching movies. I'm not going to get the same experience watching Schindler's List as I get watching Biodome. So, but do I want to watch both of those movies at some point? Probably so. But I'm not going to get some popcorn, get high, and watch Schindler's List. I'm going to do that with Biodome. The Substance is a sharp critique, but it's
See,
also a well-made movie. And I think that if you're going to put it up against Honora, The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Dune Part 2, How You Dune, Amelia Perez, I'm Still Here, Nickel Boys, and Wicked, it should win. Because of these, it is the most original movie.
I haven't seen Amelia Perez. I want to watch Honora, and I might be doing so today. Uh, I doubt that any of them take such liberties with reality and have this level of originality. But I know that, like, Amelia Perez is a like a foreign language film, which usually isn't tethered so much to the conventions of filmmaking in America, and like, I can't say for sure, but whatever it is, I mean, this seems like redundant, like pointless to say, but whatever it is, it's not this.
it, you know, that statement sums up a comparison to almost any movie, comparing it to The Substance. It is not this.
Yeah.
This is wholly unique. And to me, I think that's why it deserves Best Picture comparatively. Will it win? I don't know. Like, you know that, again, I look at things through the lens of video games, and I probably mentioned this already on another episode, is the game that won Game of the Year at the Game Awards last year was not a big, high budget, graphic intensive, raw storytelling game. It was a fun game. It was a game that put fun first. You play this game, you're having a good time. The controls are simple, the music's good, the visuals are good. They're enjoyable. They're not like the best graphics you've ever seen. It's nothing like that. It was just, this was the most fun game compared to all the other games that got nominated. When you're doing that with movies, it is obviously a bit different. It is still primarily visual with no input from you. But nevertheless, The Substance is such a unique experience that I think that it deserves to win. Come on, we've got sequels, adaptations all over the place in that list, and then we have The Substance.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yep.
I get heated about, like,
commercial sequels.
Does this sequel deserve Best Picture? No. Like, probably not. Like, honestly, hot take maybe, did Return of the King deserve Best Picture that year? I don't know. I'd have to look at what else was up. Hang on.
Yeah, look it up. And then we'll do Skittles.
How do you spell Academy? I got it.
It would be 2004's. Yeah.
Yeah, because it came out in 2003. All right, we had Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, Lost in Translation, Master and Commander, Mystic River, and Seabiscuit. Okay, so the competition wasn't super fierce.
Maybe Mystic River?
Maybe Mystic River. I've heard it's good. I haven't watched it. Master and Commander, Lost in Translation. Hey, Sophia. Sophia, look, I know you're watching. I know you're a big fan of the show.
Yeah.
Sophia Coppola. I didn't give this movie a fair shake when I watched it 20 years ago. I was young and stupid and said, a boring movie, and moved on with my life. I'll watch it again, and then I'll come back, because to me, this and Mystic River are probably the only things that could compete with Lord of the Rings. Mm-hmm. Lord of the Rings is a sequel, but now that I say that, it's not fair to call it a sequel, because it was produced at the same time as 1 and 2. So it is the third installment of a single story.
And some people dismiss it because there were reshoots and more production every year as like, no, it was a sequel. They weren't all made at the exact same time. But you know what? They were. production started before they were, filming, and production continued through the end of 2003. Like
Hmm.
it is one project, and it very much, I mean, there's a reason why the credits for the other two movies are only black and white, and the credits for this movie are the credits for the entire, like there are characters that don't appear in Return of the King that are credited because it is for the Lord of the Rings.
Right. Because elements of that shoot took place with those actors and
Yes.
characters. Yeah.
Yes. And so Return of the King is a very unique achievement, and that's why I don't think Dune is getting the treatment that Lord of the Rings is getting.
Hmm.
Um,
A
but
good, interesting point. Yeah. Now, I want to say the Conclave is an adaptation.
no, Conclave is an original
Is it?
film, and I'm like now only 80% sure.
I don't know. I thought it was a book. But I totally could be wrong.
Based on the 2016 novel by Robert Harris. Well, all right.
There we go. Uh,
That's a little bit of a bummer. I
yeah.
wonder
Well,
how it
again,
shakes
like
out as an adaptation.
even if it weren't, like the substance to me is still the most original of these.
Yeah.
I want to say Amelia Perez is an original story.
Yeah.
I could be wrong about that. Um, but and I'm sure it has something very valuable to say. I haven't watched it, so I can't really comment. But I do know that the substance and the impact it had was substantial.
It's based on an opera libretto of the same name, loosely
Oh,
adapted from a chapter of the 2018 novel Écoute by French writer Boris Razon.
sorry. Sorry, France. Hey, France. I know you're a
Bourgeois.
big fan of the show. Um, I make fun of your language all the time. I apologize,
But I'm going to keep doing it.
but I am going to keep doing it. Learn to speak Spanish. Um,
Um, so yeah, you have anything else you want to say on the substance?
no. Other than there's a couple of puns we could have made, but we didn't.
Like what?
I said substantial earlier, and then I realized like I did it. I did an internal eye roll.
um, well, then what is Skittles O. Henry doing?
On stream,
That's
it's
the
very
sound
boring.
effect that plays when we go to your.
Oh yeah, is it literally you? Yeah, literally you doing. I'm fine with that. That's funny. On stream, it's really boring, just chatting. I've been playing a lot of something called Guess the Game, and I love that. It's literally screenshots of games, and then they give you little clues. It's like Wordle if you play Wordle, where you get a certain number of guesses, and it gets a little easier as you go, but sometimes you may not get it. Off stream, I'm replaying Elden Ring, which is came out in 2022, is part of the Souls series by From Software. I strongly recommend playing it if you haven't. It's one of the most accessible in that series. It's still really hard. You'll still get your chops busted, but it's the most fun, the most accessible, I think. A dedicated jump button helps, which none of the other games had. Meanwhile, other games I intend to play, I may eventually, I know you've played Baldur's Gate 3, I may eventually play it. I learned that it's available on Mac, and I have a MacBook permanently connected to my television downstairs.
And they're still pending a huge update they've been teasing for a long time where you get multiple extra subclasses and cross-platform gaming.
No way.
Yeah.
All right, interesting. So, I mean, when I was considering buying it, I was considering it buying it on PlayStation because that's mostly what I play on. But I got laid off last year, and they said, you know what, keep your MacBook, and it was a MacBook Pro M3 Pro. So like it's like there's M3, M3 Pro, M3 Max, and so it was a good laptop. And I was like, you know what, I already have a laptop. I could go through the effort of selling it, or I could have a dedicated machine plugged into my television, and that's what I did.
Oh.
So because I got another job relatively soon, and I was just like, I'll just keep this one. Also, the screen got cracked at some point. Don't remember that happening, and I was like, I'm not even gonna bother. And so actually I'll play Windows games on it because on Steam you can stream from your main machine to another device. And so
Oh,
I
cool.
I stream downstairs to the television. So like if I want to boot up, I've been playing the Halo Master Chief Collection because I've never played 2, 3, 4, or 5. I played 1 and that was 2001. And that's it. So I'm getting back to that. Other games I intend to play. Oh, I meant to say the game that won Game of the Year last year was Astrobot.
Hmm.
And if you haven't played Astrobot, please do. It's so good, so good. It is a pure fun gaming experience. Let's see. I bought Lies of P, and I intend to play that. That's another Souls game, but not made by From Software. It's just sort of emulating, and I hesitate to say imitating because that has a negative connotation, but it is emulating From Software's formula for the Souls games. The only difference is when I say Lies of P, can you think of a character whose name begins with P, like an old, like centuries old character whose name begins with P, who cannot tell a lie? Or else it
An
will become
ele
very,
Wait,
it will
elephants never
become,
forget.
right.
Pinocchio?
Pinocchio. This is a Souls game about Pinocchio. Um, and guess what? It's the best Souls game that's not from Software, apparently.
I don't know why, but it's like irking my brain because like Pinocchio can lie, his nose just grows. But
Right. He can't lie without it being
immediately,
obvious.
immediately, someone that I can't remember. Oh, it's like friggin' George Washington or whatever. Like I cannot tell a lie. It's like the quote that popped into my head. Like it's
Yeah.
some president, someone George Washington what chopped down the cherry tree? Is that the thing?
Yeah. The fable is he chopped the tree down, lied to his dad, and his dad was like, don't lie. And now he won't
Yeah,
lie ever again, except everybody lies. House MD, 2003 or whatever.
yeah.
Um, actually, if I mentioned if I mentioned this on the last episode, just cut all this, okay? Um, did you get that?
Yeah.
Balatro. Did I bring up Balatro last time?
I think so.
Okay, never mind. I've been still playing Balatro because there's so much more to do.
Is that the game that you described as easy to learn, difficult to master?
Oh yeah. It's poker, but
Yeah.
it's a roguelike.
Yeah. Yep, yep,
Um,
yep.
still haven't even like I've beaten it several times. I've gotten like, but every time you beat it, you get a new deck, and so
Mm.
like that like stipulates new rules. And so I've beaten it with every deck available before increasing the difficulty, and then I'm about to play it with every deck on the slightly higher difficulty, and that's like it introduces new barriers to your success every time you increase the difficulty. So I'm still playing that. I don't play new games very much. So one of these days, you're going to ask me that, and I'm going to be like, "Hey, I'm playing a new game that just came out," but that's not today. Um, I have a staunch opposition to spending $70 on a new video game when the video game industry introduces microtransactions into AAA games. I will not do that.
Yeah.
But I rarely will pirate a game. I try not to pirate games if I can help it. Nintendo has been making that very difficult with their anti-consumerist policies and anti-archival policies. You know how like the BBC like just taped over stuff, like old episodes of stuff, like Doctor Who is a great example where they were like, yeah, we don't have the originals because we just taped over them. So you're going to have to just rip an old broadcast that somebody saved. Because they didn't think of like, people are going to want to watch this 60 years from now.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in the year of our Lord 2025, Nintendo is still making some games inaccessible to play completely. Games that only existed, for example, on the DS online store, they're gone. They closed the DS online store, and if that's the only place to get them, tough.
Mm.
Luckily, people
Digital.
pirated them.
Ugh.
Yeah. Tell me about it. I don't think the answer
This
is.
is why I do this.
That's why you buy that Nightcrawler statue.
Yes.
Um,
That's explicitly. I was like Nightcrawler statue. Or
I want
nothing.
you to see Alan coming. No,
Uh,
no, I understand completely. I don't think the answer is no longer purchasing things digitally. I think the answer is laws that force companies to have more
no,
pro-consumer
sure.
policies.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely, but at the same time, like like just I say save the plastic, I guess, but just like don't I don't know. Like
I agree that like until that happens, your options are digital or physical, and if you have a physical copy you own it, because there's something called, hey kids, there's something called an EULA if you buy something digitally, and that's what's called an end user license agreement. And I want to emphasize that letter L for license. You don't own a copy of that game, you
you
are
own
licensing to play that game.
the access to the copy of that game. Yes.
Yes. Which is a big middle finger to you as a consumer.
Hmm.
um, that's it, I'm done.
Yep. There are a shocking number of movies that I own that you cannot stream anywhere right now. There are a
Yeah.
shocking number of DVDs that I own that were never upscaled for HD or
Oh
upscaled
wow.
to make a Blu-ray or anything. There's like a movie, two movies that I dream of seeing like restored and released either on streaming or HD. And if you can stream these in HD, then it's a crime they haven't been released. Charlie Bartlett, starring Chekhov from the newer Star Trek movies,
Anton
died.
Yelchin.
Anton Yelchin died tragically young. Fantastic. It's kind of a callback to like John Hughes movies, but it was made like modern, and Robert Downey Jr. plays the principal. It's freaking amazing. And Johnny Dangerously, Michael Keaton.
Dude, no one talks about that movie. It's so good.
Yeah. Um,
You catch the bus, you miss the bus, we miss the bus.
yeah.
Oh,
My dad
it's
owned like six copies of that movie because he just wanted so many people to have it. And he, like,
it's good. It's really funny.
yeah, but you can only get it on DVD. That's the
Weird.
only way you can watch that.
There's one movie that comes to mind that I own on VHS that you can't stream, and that's the movie Sleuth
Got a collection.
with Michael Caine and Laurence Olivier.
You know, Curtis just texted me that he got Terrifier 3 was released on VHS at Walmart in a two VHS set thing. Um,
Uh huh.
cool.
I bought a VCR at Goodwill actually.
I've got
The
a
tape.
VCR. I've got a collection. It's not very big, but
It's not about the size, okay?
right. It's about having Indiana Jones, Star Wars, The Green Mile, Top Gun, and
The Green Mile. So you
The
have a
Blair
two
Witch
tape movie?
Project. Yep.
Oh my god.
Green
That
Mile
hey
is
kids, let me put on my really old hat here. A DVD can
old.
that was the earliest, and by extension Blu-ray, 4K Blu-ray and so on. They hold enough information to where you can watch hours and hours of stuff on a single disc. A VHS tape could not do that. It could
Yeah.
hold at most, I think, 2 hours and some odd minutes. And so, like, if a movie is longer than that, then you had to split it and you had to eject the tape and put in the tape for part two. It would tell you, hey, it's time to put in part two. Oh, even the DVD.
Even the DVDs had to.
No.
But 4K is finally big enough. I think
I mean,
Blu-ray was
Michael
too.
Clark Duncan's pretty big. So
All that data.
all that data just for Michael Clark Duncan. That's why you had to do two tapes. Titanic, Jesus of Nazareth. I
Yeah.
remember we had those double tapes. The Godfather, I think, part two was certainly two tapes.
Uh-huh.
Um, a lot.
But it's so funny to me because like Pearl Harbor. I don't know if I've ever told you this. This is an interesting thing to put on here. Um, there was a time in my life where because this was like the early 2000s, I borrowed Pearl Harbor from a friend to watch, and there were two discs of Pearl Harbor. There's one that is leads up to when Pearl Harbor happens, and then there's after Pearl Harbor when they are retaliating and they resolve the romance triangle that they set up. I played that movie through, and for some reason, that timed with an issue with our cable where all of a sudden, when I was done with the movie, I didn't have TV. This is also just early enough that I didn't own any other movies except for, I think, Shallow Hal.
Uh-huh.
For a good month, the only media that I could watch was Pearl Harbor.
Uh-huh.
And I tell you, I rewatched the first half of Pearl Harbor like it was its own movie, probably like 12 times. And
That's so funny to me.
I would only watch the second half like sometimes just to mix things up.
Well, you don't need to.
Until that got fixed, I was still borrowing that movie from my friend, and I was like,
All you had to watch was Shallow Hal and Pearl Harbor. What a combo.
Early 2000s, everybody.
All I had was Shallow. I had to walk uphill in the snow both ways, and all I could watch was Shallow Hal and Pearl Harbor.
I had never seen Titanic,
so funny.
But I'd seen Pearl Harbor like 12 times.
So we didn't have cable for a long time, but all we had was DVDs because my dad was an early tech adopter. And so we had a ton. We watched Shrek, Ocean's 11, the first Harry Potter. There were a bunch of, on DVD, underrated movie, Secondhand Lions. Love that movie.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one that Michael, who doesn't talk to me anymore, got me to watch one time. That's a great movie.
That's a really good movie. It has an alternate ending, I don't know if you knew that. I don't remember the ending, so I don't remember the alternate ending either.
Good to know.
One of them is like, I don't remember. It's like one of them, none of that stuff was real, or it doesn't matter if it was real or not, like the stories they tell the kid. Or I think the other ending is it was all real. Like, and the sheikh shows up and is like,
yeah.
Your grandpa, he stole all my money and whatever and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I don't remember which was which. I do remember that Josh Lucas was the kid grown up.
Robert Duvall and Michael Caine, right?
Mm-hmm. And the kid, who was the kid? Was it Jake Lloyd, Haley Joel Osment?
Haley Joel Osment, I'm pretty sure.
I gotta go back and watch that movie.
Yeah. Okay. Well, is there anything left that people should know, like tracking you through the next month or so?
Find me on Blue Sky at Skittles O'Henry and nothing else because I deleted everything.
Yeah, we have a Reddit. High Contrast does. We have r/High Contrast. You can watch one video vlog of my Black Friday sales, and you can watch all the episodes in this series, the High Contrast podcast. So I believe it's r/high_contrast, maybe EWL. You know what? Why don't I look it up so I have accurate information going out?
It is r/high_contrast. I'm glad I didn't wear that shirt. I thought about wearing that shirt, and it's the one I wore in the last episode. I try not to do that. I try and avoid that. And I'm glad I did that.
I think you just started talking behind me. Hey Siri, High Contrast podcast. Oh, now you can't do that.
I was just so on streams.